This is Traitors Gate. Now, a traitor is someone who does something really bad to harm the Queen or the country. And the traitors were brought by boat along the river, and they came in through the gate. There's no water down here today, but there certainly was at the time when Princess Elizabeth was brought here as a prisoner over 400 years ago. Elizabeth would have come up these steps here, and from the top she could have seen the tower over there where she was going to be imprisoned. It's called the Bell Tower. Elizabeth and her guards probably came up this way, and she'd have been able to look up and see this big square tower here. It's called the White Tower, and it was built by William the Conqueror. In fact, this is the oldest part of the whole of the Tower of London. This open space here is called Tower Green. And you see these big black birds hopping about here. They're called ravens. And the Raven Master is the man who has the special job of looking after the ravens and feeding them. Now, Elizabeth probably came across the green here, and she'd have had to go through this house. It's called the Queen's House, and it was built for Elizabeth's mother, Anne Boleyn. Now, I've come up the stairs through the Queen's house. That's the way Elizabeth would have come. And now we're very near the Bell Tower where she was kept prisoner. If we go through this door, we'll be in the actual room where she was kept. Well, here it is. Looks very bare, doesn't it? I don't think it was like this at Elizabeth's time. She would have had a table and a chair and a bed. And look, over here, a fireplace. So she wouldn't have been too cold. And she'd have been able to look out of these narrow windows over here. I wonder what she thought about. Do you think she was frightened? After all, her mother, Anne Boleyn, had her head chopped off here in the Tower of London. Now, why do you think Elizabeth was kept a prisoner here? Well, the Queen, who was her sister, thought that Elizabeth was trying to take her place. Now, if this had been true, it would have meant that Elizabeth was a traitor, that she was trying to harm the Queen. Now, it so happened that there were people who wanted Elizabeth to be Queen, but she didn't know anything about that. So she had to come here as a prisoner for 2 months, until the Queen found out that she was not a traitor and set her free. You know, when Elizabeth was kept here as a prisoner, she could go out of her room sometimes and walk up and down this little path. So she could get plenty of fresh air and exercise. In fact, this path is still called, today, Elizabeth's Walk. Now, standing here, where I am now, she could look out over there and see Tower Hill. There it is. It's covered with buildings today, but in Elizabeth's time, that was the place where people had their heads chopped off. Or except for important prisoners, they sometimes were beheaded on Tower Green. You remember, that's the place where we saw the ravens. Well, so much for the story of Elizabeth. She was kept in the Bell Tower. Let's go and have a look at another famous tower. You remember I told you earlier about the Raven Master? Well, here he is. Hello.
How do you do?
Is that your correct title, Raven Master?
Well, most people call me the Raven Master, but my correct title is the Yeoman Quarter Master.
I see. And what is your job as the Yeoman Quarter Master?
Well, it consists really of looking after the tower ravens and seeing they come to norm, feeding them and looking after them when they're sick.
I see. Can we have a look at this splendid uniform you're wearing? This is the Beefeaters Uniform, yes?
Well, it is, yes, it's the Beefeaters, but it's not our state uniform. We have a gold one, which is...
Another uniform?
Yes.
For special occasions?
That's right. We call our reds.
I see.
And that's used on very special occasions.
These ravens, there's an old story, a legend about them. Can you tell me about that?
Well, the legend goes back to Charles II. In that time, the Astronomer Royal had one of the turrets upon the White Tower there.
Yes.
And, of course, he petitioned the king to have the birds destroyed because he said they were interfering with his work.
I see.
So the king said, fair enough, have them all destroyed. But then someone pointed out the legend, should they have all these birds destroyed, then a great disaster would befall England and the White Tower itself would crumble into dust.
Oh.
So, of course, the king, being superstitious as the rest of them were in England, he said, right, we will keep 6. And he gave an order that 6 birds would be always kept in the Tower of London. And, of course, we've got 6 birds to this day.
Still here today?
Yes, they're not the same ones, of course.
No, of course not.
They are replaced from various parts of the country when one dies.
And could they fly away?
No, I clip one of their wings, only an inch or 2 off the end. It prevents them taking off.
Oh, I see.
Of course, they're extremely well fed, and I think they know when they're on a good thing. I don't think they want to leave at all.
Good. Well, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Thank you.